Right. Okay, here we go. So, good evening, everyone, or good morning, depending on when you are in time. We have today a debate, a panel debate of players who recently participated in World Open War. Some well-known faces, I must say, and players who all played Americans, because we're going to debate competitive America in V3. Introducing the panel, we have Danny van der Wal from the Netherlands, who you played Americans at World Open War. How did you do, Danny?
Well, our team didn't do so good, but individual, I had 4 wins, a draw, and a loss, so pretty okay.
That is pretty good, yeah. And then we have Phil Brewer of the Tabletop Tommies fame. And Phil, how did your American adventures at World Open War go?
Shocking. My worst ever tournament performance, 6 losses.
Ouch.
So I've been playing US basically in V3 competitively, and no problems at all. And I got ripped to pieces at World Open War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally we have David Hesselfeld, my good buddy and competitor on the Danish first team now, who you had a pretty good tournament, didn't you?
I had an okay tournament. I did 3-3, so 3-0-3, so 3 wins, 3 losses.
Right. That's better than you normally do, because your dice is always atrocious, isn't it?
As they were this time.
Yeah. Right. So that's the panel, and today we are going to discuss the competitiveness of America in V3. I had my viewership just sent in a bunch of different questions, which we are going to base a little bit of what we're going to talk about on that. So I'm going to start by just showing you. Here we go. Oh, maybe I can do like this. Yeah, I don't know, like that. Right.
No presenter mode?
Yeah, well, maybe, but then the guys at home can't see your faces, so, and I want them to be able to see your faces. So
they'll see. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yes.
I'll do like this, I think. Right. So, competitive USA in V3, and let's do this. Here we go. So
you can
let's
take away the banner bow, so it takes up less space by pressing the small down arrow on the right side of the banner.
What? You said a bunch of stuff there.
Yes.
Right. Let's talk about HQ units first. Who wants to go first? What is good in V3 when talking about Americans and the HQs?
I mean, we get 2 hits with an air observer. I think is the only redeeming thing we get in HQ units.
Yeah.
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 Which sort of leans into the whole air power list that we're going to talk about builds later on. But one of the builds that's been going around is the air power one, where you have multiple air observers to do multiple airstrikes. Do you guys feel like that is still a thing, or how do you feel about that after this weekend?
Actually, sorry.
Danny
No,
first.
Danny, go on.
Okay, well, actually, I didn't encounter a single aircraft. I never bring them myself, but on tournament in the Netherlands, on the bad tournament last year, I faced a guy with 3 air observers with my US. He played US, and I shot down all his aircraft.
Wow.
So not a big deal.
So the problem with the air observers is that there is the potential for so much flak in the enemy army. Is that it?
Yeah.
There's nothing, Bo, that stands out in the HQ units as being unique for the US other than the double airstrike, because they've got access to, chaplains, medics, and all the stuff that you'd expect to see. The problem with the US for me is you've got the airstrikes, The other thing the US do really well is HMGs. Most of the HMGs that the US get access to have flak because they're pin tools.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, if you lean into, the abundance of HMGs, which is brilliant for pinning, and I'll come back to that when I talk about my own World Open War experience.
Yeah.
If you then also take air observers to get the double tap, you're likely, if you don't play it right and get the angles right and so on, you're likely to shoot your own planes down. So, from a not just an HQ unit, from a sort of national special rules perspective, on the one hand, you've got this double tap, which is great. On the other hand, a lot of the vehicles for the US that you tend to see have a load of pin tools, and you're kind of giving with one hand and taking away with the other in terms of how you build a list.
Yeah, they clash, right? What do you think about this, David?
I absolutely agree. Last year's World Open War, I brought one transport and 2 air observers, so 4 shots. And my out of all my games, my own HMG shot down most of my own planes.
No.
That one HMG completely screwed me over.
Yeah. So that's not good, right?
No, I took double air observers to Welsh Nationals earlier this year, and in the the 3 games I won, they were brilliant. In the 2 games that they got nullified, the list just fell apart because it was skewed towards having air observers. And Russell Wright he's been playing around with air observers for the last couple of major UK events, the Warlord GT. He lost 2 games, both against Hungarians with Nimrods, so the flak, outdid him. He did win the London GT with a 3, triple air observer list, but he didn't win every game. Paul Wickens nullified him and drew with him in the final round, but Russell won the event overall. So, when it worked, 60% of the time it works every time, and when they do work, they're brilliant. But
absolutely,
you come up against flak heavy Nimrods, Hungarians, whatever it is, and you've paid 75 points for a single regular air observer, more if you're going to add buddies on, more if you're going to make them veteran, and that's a lot of points for something that may not come off at all. So.
Now, one of the things that got mentioned, and it's not on this slide because I have it further down, is that you do have the possibility with the HQ section of buying a couple of Filipino scouts on horseback, and then buying horses for your HQ section, and because it's an HQ section, you can make them rangers. So you all of a sudden you get officers on horseback that can move 18 inches before the game starts. And that has actually been done at one tournament that I know of by Russell Wright. What do you guys think of that combo? That it seems like a massive exploit of some sort, but is it enough to intrigue you?
No. To be honest, if you look at the national rules of the airborne marine and ranges, Americans can only choose 2 of the same things. The airborne and the Marines are the same, basically.
Yeah.
Then you have the Rangers. But my experience also with the Ranger unit on the tournaments, it's pretty cool, but they miss the punch. They don't have stubborn. So if you send them forward, they won't stay or they will get killed.
Yeah.
And why would you send your officer that far away with his +2 morale to the other side of the table? Maybe to take out a gun. So you exchange a 100-point unit on horsebacks for an 80-point gun. It feels like it's really gamey. Maybe you should play 40k or something. But
I mean, honestly, for having that option is so incredibly expensive because you need to buy 2 Philippine scout units on horseback before you're allowed to spend those 100 points or more on the command unit to do it. Yeah, I don't see the lure, and I agree with Danny's assessment of the tactics. Why would I throw 5 men up into the middle of the board before the game even begins? They're going to be dead or useless at best. Yeah, I don't know, Phil. You were probably at the event that Bo was talking about where Russell did it. How did he do with them?
So Russ had 3 air observers. 2 were normal, not non-rangers, non-mounted. One was mounted, and he did it via a recce platoon. So he's only buying 1 Filipino scout unit. That's your compulsory one. He's then putting them on horseback.
Yeah. Okay.
obviously what it gives you is the ability to get in a good position before the beginning of the game, especially if you've deployed badly, or if you're off the board because you're playing meeting engagement, you can run that air observer on because it's a ranger air observer, and with the cavalry you can recce away, but it's expensive. You know, you're having to spend a lot of points to make it veteran rangers, put it on horseback, and you've also had to buy the scouts in the first place. At the very least, one squad in a recce platoon, if not two in a rifle platoon. So it does add up. Is it a gimmick? It's maybe not a gimmick, but it's got to be a very precise build. In order for it to work. If I think like bolt action 3rd edition, if you take enough of one thing, as long as it's the right thing, eventually it will work. You take 3 air observers, eventually one of them should hit, hopefully. But doing it on one air observer as a gimmick, I don't think that's worth doing at all. So,
right. Okay, well then let's move from the HQ section down to the regular infantry units, and for that we had one question from Bold Action 1944. Okay, so my question is, I saw a lot of Ranger squads. How did they do? Did anyone try the Ranger Cavalry? That was the one that we just talked about. We can take a 6-man Ranger Cavalry HQ with SMGs, Filipino Scouts. What do we think? So this was, of course, I should have put that in the other section here, but for you guys, what is it? Just the Rangers? Is that the only thing in the infantry section that is good for Americans, or what are you seeing as it is now in the infantry selection? We'll talk about heavy weapons and artillery in a minute, but for the infantry, let's start with you, David.
I see. First of all, to answer the first part of the question, I had 3 Rangers at the tournament. I had 1 6-man Rangers group and 2 3-man Ranger group. Where did you get 3-man Ranger group? You take them in the artillery or the heavy weapons in the heavy weapons section, and you make the heavy weapons rifle squad into veteran Rangers. They did really, really well. They added a lot of board control. They added a lot of ability to keep adding pins because I really enjoy playing these many small unit type of lists where I keep pinning my opponent and controlling him doing that. So they did really well. As for other units, I really like the armored rifle platoon squads and putting them in a truck and moving them up the table or a half track.
Because you take less casualties?
They are probably the best thing that we have that is not a veteran specialty unit.
Okay.
What about you, Phil?
So I didn't take Rangers. I played against Thomas from Germany, who had 3 Ranger sections. He aggressively pushed up the board. My build for World Open War was triple M16, so I was able to chew through his Rangers pretty quickly. He won the game because the mission we were playing, vehicles scored a lot of points for getting off the table. So he won by pushing his tanks forward. In terms of infantry units that I like, the US suffer from a lack of SMGs. So the glider squads, you can take regular with 3 SMGs. The Marines 7-man with 3 SMGs. But my usual way of playing is to stick guys in scout cars with SMGs, jump out and spray people down. The mechanized infantry David mentioned are great because it's easier to get out of vehicles. You don't take as much damage if you pop the vehicle, but you can only take 1 SMG, I think, from memory. So my sort of play style has been, guys in transports jumping out and spraying people with SMGs. It's difficult to do that with the US. It was easier with the main rulebook, but then when they actually, fine-tuned the units for the armies it did take away that play style. For me, where I've had success with the US, it's been engineers, and I know they're not as good in V2. In V3 compared to V2. And ironically, I didn't play engineers much in V2. And I've actually sort of pivoted and done well with engineers for the US in V3. I didn't take them to WoW because of the way the lists, the platoon structures were. I'd had to have taken 2 rifle platoons to have taken an engineer platoon and an armor platoon, for example. Then I was going to have to spend a lot of points on infantry that I maybe didn't want. But in the UK, when I've taken a rifle platoon, an engineer platoon, and an armor platoon, for example, that's when I've had the most success with US in V3.
Okay. What about you, Danny? What do you see that's good in the infantry selection for Americans?
No, well, I do not agree with the SMG style units, and you already saw it. But the US does have units that can take all the SMGs, like the Pathfinders. They can take up 6 SMGs.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
The Raiders can take 4. The Merrill's Marauders, I will come back to them. I used Rangers on the tournament, but I used 7 guys, 3 SMGs, and 4 rifles.
You mean Marines, right?
Sorry?
You mean Marines?
No, I used a 7-man Ranger squad.
Okay, I thought you had Marines in your...
Yeah, also, I had two 9 guys Rangers of Marines boosting 12 shots. But my Rangers did actually well, but they suffer from the same problem as I said before. They can get on the board, they won't get hit by artillery, but they lack the punch of staying. They are not stubborn. And I must say, every squad in my attack list has 3 SMGs and multiple rifles. And I think that's enough. Then you can still do some pins on long range. If you get close, you got a bunch of attacks and tough fighter. The other unit I really, really like are the Merrill's Marauders. They have fieldcraft, they have submachine guns, they can reroll their outflanking maneuvers. They are stubborn, and they're all tough fighters.
Yeah, but they're so... I love them, but they're so expensive.
Yeah, they're 17 points with SMGs 20 apiece. Yeah. But I played 2 tournaments in Denmark. They were really successful. They're really cool of getting just an objective and run through a field or something like that, or run through the rubble.
Yeah.
And on World Open War, I was very keen on my Raiders. Raiders are tough fighters with stubborn. 3 SMGs, 3 rifles, and they did a lot of damage. And I let them outflank every turn and where they could. Good unit. And I was a flamer in V2. I was pretty known for it.
Yep.
I have only played it in V3 once, but I am leaning back to the flames again for the next tournament. That's still a good build.
Yeah. I think, Danny, that's a really good point about the Merrill's Marauders and the Marine Raiders. I've discounted them because they're so expensive, because you're paying veterans plus all the, the fieldcraft infiltrators, behind enemy lines, stubborn, all that kind of thing. The access to regulars with SMGs is where I find that's a challenge. But no, you're right.
I totally agree with you on that. Only what I saw in the tournament with the Raiders, because there were 6 veteran guys, mostly in cover, it was a real problem for the enemy to get rid of them because they're stubborn. So they get like 8 pins and they were like, okay, we're going to check on the 10. Okay, we're staying.
Yeah.
And then they became a problem for them.
So
I have one big gripe that we are severely lacking in infantry with the US, and that's LMGs.
Yes.
We can get a few LMGs here and there, but it's all on specialty units. There's no straight up regular infantry dudes that can get an LMG. It's either the cheapest you can get is in a glider squad, but that's a maximum of 6 men, so you can't make a bigger squad out of it. Then you can get it in the armored rifle squad, but you pay 1 extra per man. And that's because they have the less damage when they jump out and stuff like that. So they're more expensive to get. And that's it. You can also get them late war rangers.
Yeah.
Which is a veteran unit. So we're really pressed for getting that extra firepower.
Yeah. But in V2, all of you, I guess, ran BARs for that extra range and firepower, didn't you?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yes. They're too expensive, and they don't stack with our national special rules, so I would never take them.
Yeah.
They're too expensive for what they do.
Yeah. Which, I guess, sucks to be an American player and see your BARs just not be worth it anymore, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I will say the change to the national special rule from fire and maneuver to, I guess it's still called the same where it was in V2 we could move without penalty to shooting, and now we get a shot per 3, which is a legacy British national rule.
Yeah,
it's one of those things. It's a real gut punch to the play style, and we've always had slim choice of infantry, and the play style was kind of born on the fine maneuver without taking penalty, and they deleted that.
Yeah.
So you could live with having so few choices because you knew you had a unique play style, and that leaned into the specialty, the fewer units but better at getting damage done. Gone.
I'll think if they fix the national rule that you can add the shots of the BER to the special rule for guys firing for the extra shot, that would fix a part of the problem and make them 1 point less expensive. They're now 6 and go to 5. I think I would put BERs back in my squads.
Especially if the extra shot could come from the BAR, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think we would have seen more BARs at World Open War this year and last year than any other normal V3 event, because the tap included it in the extra calculation. Yeah.
True.
Right. And just for completeness sake, I'll add here that the rumors that I'm hearing is that in the testing for V3, most of the games were won by the Americans using the old special rule. So Warlord Games, as I understand it, changed it because they didn't want to overpower the Americans.
I call massive BS on that.
Just what I'm hearing.
I don't believe it. I honestly don't believe that's the case. They haven't. There's too few data points. I mean, Phil, what's your opinion on that?
So I am a playtester, but I wasn't playtesting at that point, so I don't know whether or not that is the case.
Yeah.
I've jumped on post the armies of US, shall we say. There you go, that's my answer, David. Read into that what you want.
Right. We'll move on then, and we will move on to vehicles, which is, I mean, America should be the arsenal of the free world here, right? So, and we do have a couple of questions from Central, who also does YouTube, about bolt action. Is the M3 a useful transport, or is the white scout car more useful? We could also ask the same about the M2 half track as well. And as the other nations get Lend-Lease, is the competitive Americans losing some of its edge, some of its luster? And what would you take for armor? Would it be the Lee, the Chaffee, or the classic Dhaka Stuarts, or the MGMCs? What are we seeing? So I will start with Phil on this one, because you brought MGMCs, didn't you?
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of the M16. I took 3 to World Open War, which arguably was at least 1 too many. But never leave home without 1, if not 2.
Yeah.
Start off in V3 with Dhaka Stuarts. They were still doing a really good job. My build for last year's World Open War was 2 Dhaka Stuarts and an M16, and that served me really well. The other thing I have liked, and Bo, we talked about it when we did the Warlord GT review, is the M6 Fargo, which is it's a 6 damage 6 but light AT gun. FAQs allowed it to be forward facing as well as rear facing, and I took them to the Warlord GT, 2 of them. They're 65 points, so they're cheaper than a bazooka and a Jeep. You stick them in reserve, and they're there to come on at the end of a turn and take a shot, and ideally at the start of the following turn. If you pop a tank with a light AT, because you're getting the +1 to hit as well, when you do it at the start of the turn, when you haven't moved, you pop a tank with a 65-point unit, or you pop a half track with a bunch of guys inside, which is what I did at the GT. It's a great return on investment. They're rubbish if you deploy them straight away. They're rubbish if you go aggressive with them. But if you use them in reserve, because you've got HMGs on other vehicles to put the pins on, maybe you've got flamethrowers in scout cars, whatever it is, they are something I quite like. That said, I did lose 6 games this weekend, so I'm probably not the most the best expert currently to talk about it. But when I have done well, M16s, Dhaka Stuarts, and more recently the Fargo.
Yeah.
What about the M15?
I don't own the model. If I did own the model, which is obviously easily fixed, I probably would. Yeah, like 3 M16s was overkill. It was brilliant in my game against Christoph against his Japanese horde, because I was just putting so many shots into the Japanese horde. But you don't really see that in V3. That was a consequence of a tap. An M16 and M15, yeah, that seems like a good combo.
Right.
Yeah.
What about you, Danny? What are you seeing in the vehicle section that you like?
Well, I still like my Stewart.
Yeah.
I am on that with Phil. Still a useful vehicle. I am not on the M16, but on the M13 with the dual heavy machine gun.
Ooh.
Yeah.
They are much cheaper. We had one at the tournament in the Netherlands, a guy who brought 4 of them. You can divide a lot of shots.
Yeah.
So I must say I brought one to WoW as well. It served me very well. But my to-go vehicle, I think I now used 105mm Shermans. They were okay, but I will go back to the Chevys.
Okay.
Just for having a heavy machine gun, you could put recce on it. You have a decent medium anti-tank gun with a 2-inch high explosive. The only downside is the weak side rule. You have very thin sides.
Yeah.
That's the really downside. The other thing I'm looking at is the M36 with a super heavy anti-tank gun and a heavy machine gun on it. It basically brings you a super heavy anti-tank gun, penetration 7, infinite range, and a 3-inch HE template. I think combined with a heavy machine gun, that's a real good thing to look at for my next tournament. Going back on the half track in the scout cars on World Open War, if you had white scout cars, like half of the tables, you'll be not moving so much.
Yeah. Too much rough ground.
There was a lot of rough ground,
right?
And I'm still a player. I find half tracks way too expensive for what they do.
Okay. What about you, David? You've also been going over a lot of these vehicles in your lists. Yeah.
I'm with the change to points. The promise was vehicles will be cheaper, bigger vehicles would be cheaper, and perhaps it was for some of the German heavies, but for the Americans, all their medium tanks became significantly more expensive. Okay, so to answer Søren's questions first, yes, the M3 is very useful. I find I would actually downgrade it to specifically to an M2 if unless I'm taking 12 men.
Yep.
The M2 is 7 points cheaper and can carry 10 men. The pintle mounted is all forward facing instead of 360. I'm happy to save 7 points on that if I'm getting 2, 3, 4 of the half tracks. Scout car, I invested a lot into them at the beginning, and I faced the problem that Danny just raised, especially in Denmark as well, because that's just not half of the tables, that's all of the tables, where there is linear terrain obstacles or rough ground. You can't advance through any of that. They're cheap. They're 2 points cheaper than the M2, and they can move 12, and that's what's so alluring. But it's not worth it if you can't move. 12 inches is not worth it if you can't move more than 3, and then you stop, right?
Yeah.
In terms of the fact that they are in other Lend-Lease nations, that doesn't matter to me as an American player. I'm a diehard American player. I don't own any other army, and it's become a contention for me to make it work. Right, so it's not the M3 or M2 half track that keeps me at the Americans. Let's just say.
What about the Shermans? I mean, Danny, you brought a couple of Shermans to WoW, and I know that you, David, have played the 105 Sherman before. Phil, I don't know if you played Shermans, but I mean, it's an iconic tank, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cheaper. It was cheaper in tap.
Yeah.
Right.
And I brought 2 105s to WoW.
Yeah.
Because previous tournaments I played priests and they did very well until the enemy gets too close. So I was like, okay, how to fix this? Take heavy M4 Shermans with a 105, and some cases they are brilliant, but I think they are too expensive for what they do. You can get a medium howitzer on an M3 half track. I like that one.
Yeah.
For 125 points.
Right.
Yeah.
Shermans in general, they've become way too expensive.
Yeah.
And I mean, compared to the fact that they were, besides the T-34 was one of the most predominant tanks in the war, it doesn't make any sense that they're that expensive. No. I mean, come on.
No.
So even though the points values have gone up from V2, we're not seeing that much more Sherman play, are we?
No. No.
That
sucks. Okay, let's move on. Sorry?
One mention I still want to do with the vehicles. I know you hate me for it, but I must say my Hellcat does still good.
No.
Does do a good job.
I will surrender to the Hellcat in V3. I agree with you now. I didn't in V2, but yeah. I surrendered to the Hellcat.
Vehicle.
There's a few things that I don't understand about how they decided to do the vehicles, because they gave the Hellcat fast, makes sense. They gave the Chaffee fast, makes sense. They didn't give any of the Stuarts fast.
No.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, they were famous for being fast.
There were small lightning bolts.
Yeah.
Whizzing around the field if they wanted to. They had, I think, at maximum the top speed of 55 or 60 or something crazy fast. For me, because both Phil and Lucky Danny mentioned the Stuarts, I don't bring them anymore. They don't do it for me because it's 145 points with Recce and 10 shots.
9.
Yeah.
9 shots.
9.
Yeah.
9.
Yeah. The Germans get a Panzer III Dakar for the same price, but get 12 shots.
Yeah.
I know they don't have Recce. It's just not okay, man. Yeah. Make them, if they made them fast for the same price, I would consider it again. Yeah. As it is now, I'd rather pay a little extra and get the Chaffee for the fast because it's such a good rule. Yeah. Or I would downgrade and get the M15.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to artillery. We didn't really have any questions for the artillery section. Is artillery even a thing for Americans anymore? I will start with Danny this time.
Yeah, it depends what you see on the artillery. I still use my mortars, light mortar teams. You have the option of adding 3 in your team. I use that a lot. Makes them harder to kill. But I don't take howitzers. I don't take automatic cannons.
No.
None of the American players I saw are doing that. I know of one guy who takes heavy howitzers, but no, artillery is not a specialty of the Americans, I think.
No.
Not for me, at least.
What about you, Phil?
Personally, no. I pretty much, irrespective of the nation, pretty much don't look at artillery. Yeah. I have seen the combination post FAQ. Now they've confirmed that MRLS can use spotters again.
Yeah.
There is a nasty combo with air observers with MRLS, and obviously you can take multi-launchers in the artillery platoon. I don't, and I generally ignore the artillery options, not just for the US, but just generally in V3. That's just how I play. But
you don't see at WoW there were hardly any multi-launchers.
No, there was one.
Correct.
There was one during the whole, there was, 80-something lists, and there was one multi-launcher. So.
Well, I also faced one. I think there were 2.
Okay.
Yeah, it was so. Yeah, I faced also one.
Yeah. Maybe it's the same one we all faced then.
I faced mine in the one of the Polish lists.
Okay.
Me with the Germans.
Okay, so there were 2. Right.
Yeah.
What about you, David? You're not running artillery either?
I've actually tried, just because they get the standard heavy autocannon for 50 points, running a list with those, and they're nice, but they don't really match up with both my playstyle of many small units that would move around a lot, or the playstyle of Phil, where you're pushing your stuff up the board to do something. your cannons just suddenly lose line of sight due to your own men. So they've matched poorly against my style. They gave the Americans a really great option with the quad HMG, and then they gave us the hope. So a lot of us went out and bought it, and then they nerfed it to complete smithereens by having its shots as if it was on a truck. Same price as if it was on a truck. Then why the hell would I buy a stationary one?
Yeah. So
I have to unpaint it. Will never be put together. Will never be painted. Useless.
Right. So that is pretty much a dot for the artillery. But as Danny mentioned, the heavy weapons, there might be something there still. Mortars is still a thing. David, what are you bringing for your heavy weapon section? Because you mentioned the heavy weapons rifle platoons.
Yeah, exactly. So I always bring light mortars.
Right.
We are, again, as Americans, punished. If we want inexperienced light mortars, we need to buy them at 25 points with 3 men. It does, as Danny said, give them better survivability. Absolutely, and it has saved my bacon a bunch of times.
Yep.
But it is also just more points into units that we are constantly faced both in the infantry section and in the vehicle section, but then there is this little Abrabai with the heavy weapons rifle squad, which is 3 men, and you can add an extra 2 if you want. You can buy them regular and veteran. Can you buy them inexperienced? I don't remember.
No, I don't think you can.
But you can upgrade them into Marines, Airborne, or Rangers, as with anything else. And they're 39 points as veteran, and if you add the Ranger cost, it's 1 point extra per man. You get 3 Rangers whizzing around for 42 points. That's a good cheap dice with a surprisingly hard to kill little 3-man squad that delivers, because of the American special rule, 4 shots. They're great for having, if you have them at least 2 at a time that move together, deliver this double pin.
Yeah.
And while pins may not be a big thing in V3 anymore, you've said it yourself many times, having that double pin on everything that you just face means that even though they make their test because everybody has a company commander that gives them +4, they still fire and hit on 5s instead. Yeah. That's a massive bonus and survivability chance for my units, unless I'm facing someone like Danny, who rolls out of 6 shots, rolls 5s and 6s. I mean, that's just the way, that's hence his name, right? And he actually did that to me in the tournament. Absolutely obliterated me with the, you only hit on 5s, I'm not going to go down, and then
boom, ouch.
He smacked me. So that's a really, really great unit. I know people play with medium mortars and heavy mortars. That's not my playstyle. No. Light mortars, because they're cheap dice, and we need that as Americans.
Yeah.
And you mentioned mortars as well, Danny.
No, I played in V2 a lot of medium mortars.
Yep.
I now play light mortars, and David's Satan Stewart was at the receiving end of that in the tournament. It was pretty funny because he became slow, and then he needed to retreat, and it never moved again actually. But the most important thing with the heavy weapons are you can buy veteran bazooka teams and give them Ranger for 2 points, and you're having a bazooka team of the 24-inch line. And the last 4 tournaments I did, every tournament they kill something in the first shot. Wow. I've killed Stewarts, T-45s, whatever you need, and you have the first shot hitting on a 4.
That is good though.
A lot of people there, they're just two guys and they will die very easily. But if you take like a medium tank off the board right in the first turn, that's really annoying.
Yeah.
It's only a 50-50 chance, but it's what I like, and I'm thinking of getting like 3 of those teams on my next list.
What do you think, Phil? Are you using the heavy weapons platoon?
Again, not very often. When I do, it will either be light mortars or heavy mortars and HMGs. If you haven't already guessed, there's a theme here, which is my list, which is how many HMGs can you put into the list? Purely because you can lock down lanes with some static HMGs with the 6 shots. because unless people are taking veteran vehicles, you're putting pins on them, you're obviously stopping infantry running across and so on. As David said, it doesn't fit with my general playstyle, which is maneuverability, getting up close, jumping out, and so on. But when I have pulled back from that, if I'm going to take a mortar, I may well take a heavy mortar, because unlike the medium mortar now, when a heavy mortar hits, it's going to do some damage, and the chance of popping a vehicle is good. Comboing heavy mortars with air observers, for example, so you're making you're benefiting from the spotting and so on. So there are some interesting non-vehicle builds you can do with the US where you lean into heavy mortars, HMGs, air observers, etc. But it will depend upon your meta, and is it a tank heavy meta, what the tables are like in terms of density and line of sight blocking terrain and that sort of thing. They don't really, generally speaking, with heavy weapons, the US don't really have anything that stands out that others don't, and that's we've kind of intimated it already. That's fairly common with the US. David said it. They don't have anything special that other nations that don't have access to, really, generally speaking, because of Lend-Lease and all that sort of thing. They are a very bland army, and I think all three of us would say this. That's probably why we play them, because we want them to work, and we want to make them work given the limited options we've got.
To add to the heavy machine gun, I still think there is something there. You got 6 shots, 4 guys. I faced with a heavy machine gun 3 autocannons. You will eat them alive. They don't stand a chance because you have 6 shots.
Yeah.
So you autocannons, mortar teams, heavy autocannons, they all will fall for a heavy machine gun team. Only they are pretty expensive.
Yeah.
Exactly. 70 points.
Yeah.
I feel is a steep price, because I can get a half track.
Yeah.
It only has 3 shots, yes, but it also brings forward more safely some of my dudes, right?
Yeah.
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 So it may be overcosted, but it is good. Is that the conclusion for that?
Yeah.
Right. We will move to units that sort of don't really work. So we have these 2 questions, one from Don Critchie and one from Richard Curry. What army builds must an US player avoid? And are bazookas competitive, or the light mortars is an inexperienced medium mortar a replacement? So let's talk about units that you think one should not bring as an American player. David, do you want to start?
Sure. I mean, for infantry, do whatever you want that fits your playstyle.
Yeah.
I think it's more along the lines looking at at vehicles, or leaning into artillery, or mixing that. I think the units you must avoid or builds is something that is contradictory. So having these artillery or heavy weapons in the back, while you also have transports and stuff going forward, right? That's a build you want to avoid. And units you want to avoid, I would say, unless you have 1250, if you play what I feel like is slowly becoming the norm, is 1100 points.
Yeah.
If that's what you're playing, I would say avoid the Germans. I mean, we want them to be good, and they are on paper good, but not at that cost.
Yeah.
Right.
I think you can look at the US Army like Empire from Warhammer in the ancient days. They can do anything, but not really good. Yeah, right. I mean, Empire had every weapon to their disposal, every knight, firearm, whatever you could think. But they were squishy and they would die, but there were a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we can't even do that as Americans, though.
Nah.
If you want to compare.
Rear
But actually, one
detachment.
thing we forgot to talk about on the vehicles, and that's because none of us look at the options as a viability at all. That's armored cars.
Yep. I was just going to ask you
the
that.
Americans have been thoroughly shafted when it comes to that.
Yeah.
They didn't have a big selection of armored cars.
No.
But the ones we do have now, way overpriced compared to what other nations get in the same slot, and compared to what they do for us. Right?
Yeah.
So no one is going to bring the what is it, M8?
M20 or M8.
Yeah.
Or
No,
a soft skin
M20 is
rated Jeep.
horrible.
Yeah. Phil, you did talk a little bit about potentially looking at the bazooka Jeep, if that is viable or if it comes back. Is that right?
No. So the point I was making was a bazooka team in a Jeep is more expensive than the Fargo. The bazooka Jeep, I really want it to work. It's great in V2. It's great in V2. But it doesn't. Yeah, armor car selection is really poor. The Greyhound's the only really one I would consider, but it's open topped, and I popped one, from a close assault from an infantry unit this weekend at WoW, and that's the sort of thing. It's the same with the M16s. You get too close, and people just start assaulting your vehicles.
And it's also it's too expensive, right? How expensive?
Yeah.
125 more,
something like that. Yeah.
I'd rather have an M15.
Yeah.
A T60 for the Soviets is 105 points. And it's not open topped, and you can tank assault with it. You don't really want to go with that. What about, as Richard Curley asks here, inexperienced medium mortars? Would that be a thing that you would consider?
Yeah, really. You always need to watch out for them. They're very... Okay, they can be cheaper with other nations, but still, David saw what they can do.
But that was a light mortar.
Yeah, it was a light mortar.
Right.
So he's asking about medium mortars, which is 10 points more.
Medium mortars is not a thing.
No, exactly. No. Because inexperienced medium mortars is 35. And even though we get shafted and have to buy them 3-men inexperienced light mortar for 25, meaning 4 to 5 points more than everybody else who gets them at 2 men, that 10-point difference between light and medium is so crucial, because we're looking at essentially an elite army, right? Everything is expensive as hell.
Yeah.
Those 10 points that we save going from medium to light we need them. So inexperienced medium mortars, not a thing for the US at the very least. Also because most of us, at least the 3 of us in this call, we play an American type of army that moves around, meaning the ability to move and fire leans into that. And the medium mortar is stationary.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
I agree with that.
Okay, so that is, we can sort of dismiss that. I also don't like them exactly for the same reason. Medium mortars will have to sit there and take whatever shots. Can you say 6 shots from an HMG, Danny? Straight into the face, and that will kill them, obviously.
Yeah.
So
I think, Bo, if you're going to take an inexperienced mortar, you might look at a heavy mortar because you've got the extra crew, and again, when it hits. But it is expensive. Like David said, you want to save points because the points out can rack up quickly with the US. I might consider a inexperienced heavy mortar, but it's a very small might. So.
If you can make it Ranger and have it move away from that stationary thing looking at it.
No,
then it's not inexperienced anymore. Then it's veteran.
Exactly.
100 points is something.
Yeah, true.
Insane,
True.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can absolutely have veteran Ranger mortars, but you are spending so much to do that. So.
Yeah.
But if you are dreaming, let's think about a Ranger flamethrower team.
Ooh.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Then we have something you can use.
Yeah. Right. Let's move to the final section then, which is general builds. What have you been seeing? And I've actually written up a couple that I have been seeing American players who play Americans use. So we have the air power list, we have the mechanized list, we have the skirmishes of V2, which I know, David, you ran those all the time, as did Danny. The MSU, multiple small units, where you take as many as you can and just try to pin the enemy down. And we've also seen attempts at running Death Stars with Americans, like heavier tanks, Shermans, yeah, sure, but also heavier than that. So what of these builds, and are there any that I'm missing? Which of these builds do you think can actually work in V3? And I will start with you, Phil.
For me, mechanized. Particularly if you're combining it with engineers, like I said, air power, but it's circumstantial, because of the amount of flak you're facing. Skirmishes, if the BAR was included in the calculation for the extra shots, absolutely. The V2 skirmish list that we used to see, the fire maneuver list, would be brilliant in V3. I'm not sure, David, to answer your question from earlier. I don't think it's game breaking. You know, I understand why you have to take the movement penalty, but give us the BAR in the calculation
and make it cheaper. And make it cheaper.
And make it cheaper, yeah. From an England perspective, I know Ben Andrews took a Death Star US list to the WTC this year as the fifth list. He was playing Japanese for the majority of his missions. He dropped in a double Persian list. So it works. I think they work in a team environment where you've got the ability to swap in and out the extra list. But I wouldn't take it to a single event, you know, where you've only got one list and one player. So,
What about you, Danny? What are you seeing in terms of builds?
Oh, sorry. Well, the air power, I don't have a lot of experience. I only saw one on the tournament and, well, shot all the planes down, so that's not my thing. Mechanized, I still tend to use Dodges because they're cheap. And still on WoW, they still did a good job. I only had one this time, but they're still okay. Yeah, skirmish, what the guys are saying. If you get the BER back, you can do that. Well, the multiple small units, I don't think the US is an army to do that, to be honest. No.
Not anymore.
Well, in the Death Star, I tried it with 2 Shermans with 105s. It was not bad, actually. It was okay. But I am trying to bring back barbecuing.
Yeah.
I really think that is still a thing that's viable.
Yeah. And
but you're competing. You're competing with the excellent German Eintos Flammenwerfers, right? The one-shot flamethrowers from the Germans. Do you still think the Americans can do something here?
Well, I really hope they will bring back the assault flamethrowers. Well, you have 6 guys with 2 flamethrowers.
Yeah.
That would be devastating.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was devastating, but it still can be.
But Bo, I was going to say, with the US engineer build, the advantage they have is the amount of HMGs on transport vehicles.
Right.
So if you're putting a pin on your way in against the vehicle, then you're jumping out and flaming it. Yeah. So even if you hit but don't damage and you cause a morale check,
you're very likely
you've already got
you've
got the one pin from on the way in, and then from that point onwards. So whereas the 3 pins. Whereas the Germans don't put pins onto vehicles because their Hanemags are only MMGs.
Right.
Yep.
So the combination actually is what makes this viable, you think? Right. What about you, David? What are you seeing in army builds here? What is viable and what is not?
I honestly don't have a straight answer. I'm searching through games to figure out what works again, and I'm still searching. I will agree that mechanized looks like this might be the way. And they still struggle because right now we, at least in Denmark and at the World Open War, we saw a predominantly armor heavy meta, and then mechanized struggles. Right, if they face off against 3, 4, 5 medium tanks or light tanks, it doesn't matter that you come rolling with 4 or 5 half tracks with men inside, because they're gonna die on the way there.
Yeah.
Right. Even if you have you put a pin on them and then you germ out with flamers, and then everything dies to the rest of the tanks. Right. It's in the meta that we are in, mechanized struggles, but I still see that as the most American thing that should work. It should work with everything that they have work going for them.
At this point, I have a question for you guys, and then there are 2 final questions, and then we can sort of round off this. So my question would be, if you were to change anything to the American National Special Rules, if you had a free hotline to Warlord Games, what would you guys suggest they do to balance out some of this? And I'll start with you, Danny.
Well, I think it's easy. Add the BERs to the special rules of firing and make them a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
So you can
and that
go
would be
back
all that
to,
was needed in your mind to build up America again?
That would help immensely, and maybe they should do something with stabilizers for regular vehicles.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stabilizers.
Then Germans would be interesting, even though they're expensive.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I agree.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah,
right
I
now
think
only
the
the veterans, of course, get access to the gyro stabilizer, but getting that for regulars would really power up the American. I mean, if you did it for Sherman tanks only, or Shermans or above, medium tanks plus, I mean...
No, well, there are not a lot of vehicles who have stabilizers. It's like, the Chevy doesn't have a stabilizer,
Right.
I believe.
Does it?
I don't know.
I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah, the tank hunters don't have it. The Shermans have it, and so not every tank has it. But then you get a unique feature to the army.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, good point. Warlord Games, take notice. What about you, Phil? What would you change?
Chaffee does have stabilizer.
Oh,
Nice.
Okay. So BARs, yes, but to add another one in, I would want to see something done with shooting down your own planes as a US player.
Yeah.
Predominantly, the US had air superiority in once you get past the very early stages of the US in the war, they had air superiority. They were used to ground support roles.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating when you lean into the double tap air observer, but you end up shooting or scaring away your own plane.
Yeah.
So I'd look for some change in the combination. Maybe you need sixes to get rid of it. Maybe you need more hits to get rid of it. Maybe it's easier to withhold fire. If you're a US player and you're rolling to see if you're withholding fire, maybe the result you need is lower. I don't know, but something like that.
one.
And what about you, David?
I actually have a lot because I took your challenge to heart. So, right, I have, I think, 5 or 6 points. So the first one is, of course, the lack of variety and firepower in our infantry. That's kind of the core problem, right? Everything feels bland, or everything needs to be veteran, to be anything.
Yeah.
And a very simple thing is put LMGs into the regular infantry squad. What the hell? That's an easy fix, right? The bars, fix the bars, and maybe even add, we have the heavy weapons rifle squad, but maybe add something with you can take in the heavy weapons platoon, you can take a MMG squad that's not just 3 men with an MMG, but 3 men and basically an infantry squad, but in the heavy weapons squad, right? Not just 3 men, but
that would
like
massively
8 men
change
with
up
an LMG.
the Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then there's this vehicles and points and access, and there's something wrong with the formula. And my guess is it also frustrates the Soviet players with their access to tanks. Their T-34 76 is probably also feels too expensive.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
And so there's something about decreasing that cost in general, and then. There could be something about the Allied having such a massive production that their vehicles generally cost less, maybe for a period of the war, like from mid and forward, or from only for late, or something like that. Then there's something that, I mean, the US, bar a few specific confrontations, they had pretty good supply lines, and they built some sturdy tanks that were easy to maintain generally, especially compared to the Germans. Maybe there's something about being able to re-roll if we get an immobilized result, or ignoring the first immobilized result, or something like that. Like, make it interesting for us in the US.
Yeah.
Fixing our iconic fire and maneuver rule would be great, but if they are completely adverse to that, opening up for making it even better, something with, I don't know, that if a tank shoots at a target, then my men won't get the -1 when they move and fire at the same time, or something, so there's something coherency in the army that suddenly
synergy
plays in our favor.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, flamethrower barbecue, you guys both say, hey, there's something there. There's not something there when you call David and you only always miss to hit and then roll once to run out. Yeah. I brought a flamethrower tank. I brought the M5 Stuart upgraded to E77, so it had the front armor 9. I shot it twice because it always died on the way in, even though I played really cagey, and it never hit. So I had this really expensive flamethrower tank that did absolute jack shit for 6 games.
Right.
So I mean, they did really great work on making flamethrowers, in my opinion, almost useless. Right?
Yeah.
Apparently, people complained that flamethrowers were too insane, so they nerfed it 3 ways.
Yeah.
They made it so you get a pin now. Mm-hmm. That's nerf number 1. They gave it 1 less penetration from 3 to 2. That's nerf number 2. And then they make it run out on 1 and 2, right? Yeah. I mean, maybe do only one of those things if you want to nerf it.
It is a large correction, isn't it?
Yeah. You're forgetting they made it more expensive, and you need to buy a special platoon commander to get it.
So that's 5 nerfs.
Yes,
you're right.
Thank you for highlighting that. So one of the things that we as Americans excelled at, because we are one of the few nations that could get regular engineers.
Yeah.
Right.
It just made it, well, you do get that, but it just sucks now. Or it sucks a lot more compared to V2. And that was one of your big things you could do. Not anymore. Well, you can do it, but it sucks comparatively.
Right.
So what we're actually saying, you shouldn't play US.
Yes.
Which leads straight into my next question from IGS Birmania. What are the benefits of taking US over other factions? Why should you play US? And it's not like IGS is not a rookie player as such, but it is a rookie question. It's a question I get often on the channel: is why? Which nation should I play? What fits me? So why should you even play US? Boys, what is attractive?
Well, Ice Beam is, I know him, a person. He is a pretty new player. He came, I believe, 3rd on the Dutch Nationals.
So not a completely new...
No. He has skills.
Yeah.
So, but the question... now we're talking with these guys. I'm thinking maybe I should get my Germans. Why I'm still playing US?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
is there nothing that is like this is the US?
For me, they don't do anything that other nations can't do.
Right.
The only thing they've got at the moment is the double air tap, which is unique. Scouts in Soviet scouts now lead the way. Yeah. That's frustrating from a Rangers perspective. Yeah. So there's nothing the US do that other nations can't do, and most nations do it better. Why do I play them? Because they look cool. Because my Marines army looks great. I loved painting them. Yeah. I love the camo and all that kind of thing. I know they used to be like a noob build and all that, and they're easy to start with. But as the 3 of us have testified, they're difficult to play well, and it's a nice challenge. That's kind of why I keep going with them. I've been soul searching since the weekend, funnily enough, but I'm not going to throw them away and pick up my Germans again. I'm going to keep going with the US and analyze where it went wrong and tweak it and come back. So
right. And the final question is from Hosh. I think we've been over the main advantages and benefits of the US Army, but he has a second part of his question. Which strengths should US players double down on? Now, it sounds as if there's at least something in the ranges for most of you guys. There's something there that you can use competitively. Yeah. Either in the heavy weapons rifles sections, or in a bazooka team, or in a larger veteran unit. Is that the main benefit that you should lean into here?
No, I don't think heavy machine guns, because the ability to pin everything of 48 inches with regular. Yeah. I think that those are the things you should double down on.
And I would go so far as to say, yes, I agree, mechanized, especially because I know other nations have them as well, but their armored rifle squads are really good. I mean, they really are, and it's 1 point more, yes. But the Chaffee, I want to double down on the Chaffee or the Lee.
Yeah.
They're way too expensive. But if I'm gonna go the expensive way, I really love the Chaffee. And there's something about the Lee that also titillizes me that I want to try and see if I can have two in a list.
Is it because it has those two guns, so it can split fire or double down on one target?
And I'm at some point, and it probably won't be for a team tournament, but at some point in a singles tournament, I'll see if I can afford two veteran Lees, so the big gun gets a stabilizer.
Nice. Yeah. What about you, Phil? What do you think that you should double down on?
HMGs, like Danny said. There is a really nice combo you can have with regular, as in normal Ranger squads, so veterans, but normal Ranger squads, engineers in transports with HMGs. So you're already deploying up, or you're already moving, up the table early on with the Rangers. You've got the mobility to bring the engineers up quickly to support the Rangers, and you're putting pins onto vehicles, or you're shredding infantry on the way in with the HMGs. So it's synergies rather than one of those three things on their own.
I agree.
Yes.
Right, boys, David, Danny, and Phil, thank you so much for joining me and giving out your expertise. I hope people at home learned something, and at least didn't get too depressed talking about all the things that didn't work. But I also hope you guys at home saw or heard something that did work. Something that you can possibly take into your next game. For me, at least, there was a lot here that I thought I've learned a lot from all of you guys in how you play Americans. Phil, I was
Would you try and play the Americans
with
for a while?
Your doubling down and going all in on that mechanized. You didn't get a lot of it out of it in our game, but the potential was there. And Danny running double Shermans. I mean, I would never do that, but my God, can you do it, right? And you've actually taught me the benefit of taking a Hellcat, a tank destroyer, even though it's open topped, it still works. And David has really taught me something about MSU, so I hope that you guys at home also learned something from that. Does anyone have any final comments?
I have a question for you, Bo.
Yeah.
When are you going to play the US for a longer period of time?
Never. Not happening. Okay. It depends. I am going to have to reinvent myself after World Open War because my army build didn't really work out for me that well. I didn't feel satisfied with what happened for me and how the list worked. So I am going to look at something else, and I might be looking at mechanized now. And you guys are saying that Americans are a good mechanized army, so well, you never know. I might go that route. So yeah, thank you for the question.
I have we'll still hear and have a very broad audience.
Yeah.
We're running the BAT tournament, of course, in the Netherlands. Some of you have been in the past. It's a duels tournament, 2 days, 5 games on 21, 22 of February, including dinner, Dutch pancakes. Last time it was really, really good. We already have 5 teams in.
Nice.
And we started the registration yesterday. So if you have time, you want to do something special, it's a team tournament. It's, I believe, one of the few in Europe, and we have room for 40 to 50
it's the only
people.
doubles tournament in Europe that I know that's been running consecutive years, right?
This is our third time already.
Yeah.
We're expecting at least 30 players. So
nice.
Yeah, brilliant.
Sounds great. Right.
Cool.
That was it from us today. Thank you everyone for viewing, and we will see you another time, hopefully. Cheers.
Right.